Has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Now, equal to. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth. You see that God said we above all people. Ever since we've been born into this earth, we've been trying to be equal to, not knowing we greater. That's right. Because of sin, we fought, and they've been, and instead of being on top of them, they have gotten on top of. So, right. So, if we fell to the bottom because of sin, what should we do to get back on top? And the word says, keep the commandment. It all comes back. Every time it comes back to keeping the commandment. Deuteronomy 28 and 1.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, that those shall hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments.
It says you got to hearken. That means thou shalt get diligent.
And all his commandments which I have commanded thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right. So if we were to listen to what God told us to follow and do His commandment, He's gonna put us on high above all nations upon the earth. Bring it out. But it's a flip side to that. Get 28 and 15. Bring it out.
28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments.
If we won't listen to the voice of the Lord, to observe and do all his commandments,
and the statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now, you ask yourself, is a curse a good, a bad, or a good thing?
Depending on what the person is about, what is wrong. You have good person, you have bad person.
Give me a good curse.
Give me a good person, you might be a mom or something. And they, believe that they gonna have, good prosperity in life and all that. So they gotta believe it.
But you gotta think, good prosperity is not a curse. That's something good. Ain't no such thing as a good curse. But we're going to read some of the curses what God said will happen to his chosen people for breaking the commandment. Okay. Tell me something that you see that's going on in the black community that we hear or see all the time. Name something that you see going on right around this area. And we're going to see is it already written in this Bible as one of the curses.
Sagging, cursing, let's see. Your neighbor, people not even friendly no more. You can't even walk outside and say hey to your neighbor without it having a natural look at you. It's a lot.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother.
It said that the man that is tender among you, because once upon a time, like you said, we used to be able to see each other, just meet each other for the first time and have a lot of love for each other, knowing that we brothers.
That's right.
And sisters. We used to have love for each other. But now, like you said, you can't even speak to your neighbor.
His eye shall be evil towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
Who that sound like? Eyes evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and children that which he shall leave. Who is known for?
You see, there's a prophecy that was written thousands of years ago about us.
I think a person like me and y'all self trying to change it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You see me? I was just walking my wife, and that was my oldest child. I got 4 more.
All praise. All praise.
Yeah, I got 4 brothers and a son. So yeah, like this, I'm just coming from work. Just I was just spending some time with them.
And that's good that you married with your wife and your kids, because rare. They say when you see a man married with to his wife, they say that's rare. A black man.
Well, because you don't see it nowadays. The generation is so messed up. You know, I see like a lot of folks on and I'm trying to give you, advice and assistance on that.
Let me get this precept. The book of Hosea, chapter 13 and verse 9. O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thy help.
Israel has destroyed herself. He said, but as in me is thy help, meaning you have to come back to God to get where we need to be.
That's right. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 3 and verse 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. Right? Basically going into, we got to give warning to our people, whether they hear or bear. Like you said, they walk to and fro. They don't care. But it's still our job to come out here and tell our people. Just like this brother about to bring out some of the commandments. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10 and verse 12. And now Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee?
Knowing that you're an Israelite is something that God requires of you. You know, you can't be the person that you was. No, because at first all of us didn't know that we none of us knew that we were the Israelites. But then once you find out, you got to start living up to the standards of an Israelite.
Right,
and he said, what does God require of thee?
And now Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
You know how you feel, Lord? How do you show the Lord that you're afraid of him?
To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
That's how you feel God keeping his commandments, because you know the repercussions that come behind breaking his commandments. It could be anything. You know, you breaking the commandments and you thinking it's all good, then you on the road to the house and all of a sudden, bam, you in a bad accident. That's a repercussion of breaking the commandment.
Psalms 111 verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all that do his commandments. His praise endure forever.
Right, right.
Once you start fearing God, keeping his commandments, your wisdom will, what's the word I'm looking for? Increase.
That's right, that's right.
Abundantly.
That's right.
And I'm speaking, and I look at these brothers, they got wisdom, because they keeping these commandments. But yeah, you got any other questions, brother? Now, I'm gonna tell you something too. When you learning black history in school, they teach you the back end of black history. They don't teach you the front end of black history.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 2, verse 1. Now the days of David drew nigh, that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself. Basically saying the King David charged his son Solomon to be a man by keeping these commandments. That's how we show ourselves men today, not by the amount of money that we have in our pocket, but by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. when we keeping the laws, we set our houses in order. And by us setting our houses in order, it changes the communities, our neighborhoods, and our nation of people. So by hearing this word, don't just let it go in one end out the other. Take it into effect, make haste. Start guiding yourself, build yourself up first, then change your household. Once you change, they'll see the change and they'll be willing to follow you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you something else too. You probably didn't know. Matter of fact, I know you probably don't know, but one of the commandments is when we bringing out when we prophesying or speaking on the Bible.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 3. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ,
The head of every man is Christ.
and the head of the woman is the man,
The head of the woman is the man,
and the head of Christ is God.
and the head of Christ is God.
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
So every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonor his head. Now, who do you say man's head is? So when we bringing out the scriptures and you have your head covered, that means you just honor God. Meaning, so in order to show God his due respect, when we bringing out the scriptures, have your head uncovered. I might got a headband around my head.